This week I learned there is nothing that the YouTube overlords make easy. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, guys. We're inching closer and closer to Hallows Eve and Halloween. Very, very exciting time around the house. When you got kids, guys, Halloween just kind of, it's always been my favorite holiday, but it always just kind of makes you feel like you're a kid again because we're shopping for Halloween costumes and all that fun stuff. It's a great, great time around the house here. But guys, there's lots of stuff going on the channel, and we're going to talk about that, beginning like usual with What Am I Reading? Guys, I did finish The Exorcist. I told you last week I most likely would. Very, very good book, guys. I talk about it a lot in a recent review I did on the channel, which we'll get into in the this week on the channel, obviously. But guys, yes, very much did live up to its billing as the scariest book ever written. I think that there are some things in here that surprised me, because I have constantly said on this channel that once you get past a certain age, I don't feel like there's anything really that can scare you, but this book still finds ways to do that, be it as a parent, be it as, someone who's struggling with certain things in your life. And I mean, it's more than just the pea soup and the twisting of the heads and things like that. It's a lot of the personal stuff in here. So I just didn't expect this book to be such a good character book, because like I've said, I feel like the demon in this story is probably the third most interesting character in the story, which is amazing. So, yeah, guys, it very much did live up to its billing, and I definitely think you should give it a go, even if you're not really particularly into horror, as long as you can handle some adult content, because there's bad language, there's some very disturbing things. I mean, one of the most disturbing chapters I think ever, I compared it to Room 217. From Stephen King's The Shining, which I think might be the scariest chapter I've ever read in any book in my life. So that's very, very high praise, and it's for a reason. The reason that 50 years later this book is still being talked about is because it is resonated with so many different generations. I think it will continue to do so. This is a story I think is going to persevere long after my time on the planet, and it's great that I finally got that one off my bucket list, along with The Godfather. Two books I wanted to do this year. Is the reason I compare those is because those were two movies that I absolutely adore, and I never read the book. Well, now I have, and they did live up to expectations, and that's just such a great thing. So, spooky season rather, just continues to move along, right? No, I decided, I was like, look, Exorcist was so good. I felt like any horror story that I read after it was going to be a letdown, and I didn't want to place those unreal expectations on anything, so I decided to move up a November read, which is Ship of Magic, the first book in Live Ship Traders by Robin Ha, my long-awaited return to the realm of the Elderlings, guys. It's been since March of 2021 is when I read Assassin's Quest, so a long time coming. It was something I never really meant to put off this long. It just kind of fell that way because of read-alongs and all that stuff. I finally freed myself from the shackles of read-alongs and picked this up. And you guys have been saying you want me to be more impulsive with my reading. Well, here you go. The deal is why did I not pick back up Summer of Night? People have asked me that. Look, with Summer of Night I'm not disliking it enough to DNF. And I'm not liking it enough that I'm not, having a big, just a feeling that I've got to go back to it. So I picked this up, maybe, and I don't feel bad about it, guys, because I'm liking this a lot. Now with this, and that's the thing, guys, is I can read horror books outside into November. It's fine if I don't finish everything in October, because I'm still going to read Let the Right One In. I still would like to read The Fireman. I'm still going to finish Summer of Night. I just picked this up because I felt like it. I wanted to do it. I was very excited. Now look, there's a lot of people in the Discord who've been just over the top about the series, and I won't lie, that enthusiasm made me move this up, because my original plan, I think, was like spring of next year before I went back to this, making it a full 2 years since I had finished Assassin's Quest. But as far as this book goes, I did a short about it, and I'm trying to do more of those shorts, guys, because YouTube won't leave me alone about them. Seriously, every day they email, do more shorts, do more shorts. I don't know if that's just them trying to compete with like TikTok and Instagram or what, but people do seem to like them, so I don't mind doing them. Really, I never really remember to do them. But anyhow, as far as Ship of Magic goes, guys, I am liking it a lot. A lot of people told me, the first, 100 pages are pretty dull, and I'm like, I'm fine with it. She's showing me how messed up these characters are here. And I think that the ideas presented in this book are really, really intriguing. I love the idea of these living, talking ships. I made the comparison to something from Narnia, even though, like I said, I don't recall any talking ships in Narnia. It just seems something that is very C.S. Lewis. I don't know why. That's the vibe I'm getting from it. And it's great, that I'm getting that vibe instead of everything always being like, oh, it's giving me real Tolkien vibes, I definitely say her characters are so different. I love that her characters in this, I don't want to say that they're not likable, but they're not likable. It's like they reacted the way that humans would react. Like, I mean, you're dealing with some serious family drama here. And who acts like a perfect goody two-shoes when it comes to family drama? No one. We all make stupid. You easily do things the wrong way when it comes to family than you would with, friends or co-workers, things like that. You act in a much more rational manner, I think, when it comes to family. And this family is making lots of things that just like, God, you couldn't have handled that in a worse way. And I think that's realistic. When you've got a thing about a death in the family and disagreements about the way that things should go post their passing, it's the people are going to act ugly. They're going to do some dumb things. And, your in-laws are going to be annoying and you're not going to get along and things. And I think that she's doing that really well. That's what makes it not feel like a fantasy book to me. That's what makes it feel real. And I can see why everybody gushes about Robin Hobb's characters, because as a character first guy, that's what I'm here for. So yeah, not a lot has happened in the first quarter of them, but a quarter of the way into the book here. That's a big old boy too. And every one of those books was massive. But I feel like, I know what's going on with this family, and that's what I needed to know. I need to understand, why are things like this? Why is all this angst going on? Why is all this bitterness between family members? And it explains it, and I like that she's taking her time to get there. I think slow burn is never a phrase I like to use because it scares people off. I feel like it scares people off a lot, but I feel like it set up these characters in a way that, okay, well, I know a lot about them now. I want to see how they're going to get out of this situation. So yeah, very good beginning to a story where, like I said, everybody said at the beginning of the first book here is the worst part. And if that's the worst part, then I think I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm very excited, like I said, to get back to this universe. I know that I said really bad things about Assassin's Quest, and it upset a lot of people. But like I said, guys, I'm always going to be honest on the channel, and I didn't like that book very much, and I gave my reasons why. But I never said that I was never going to return to this, or that Robin Hobb wasn't a magnificent writer or anything like that. I always knew I was going to come back. That's why I spent all that money getting these matching Harper Voyager beautiful editions. I knew I was going to return to the world, and I knew that she was a good enough writer that I was going to probably... You got a 14-book series, there's a good chance that I might not like one book. It might happen, and I expect that along the way. So excited to continue, and I will be continuing with Ship of Magic all this week probably, because like I said, it's a big boy, and I do plan to take my time with it and enjoy this world in her writing style. But I kind of already tipped my hand about what am I going to read. But let's go ahead and talk about that. Obviously, Ship of Magic, Summer of Night really is the only plans I have for the upcoming week. I do intend to do Let the Right One In still. Fireman, if there is a casualty in October, that'll be the one that kind of gets slid down a little bit, maybe onto my standalones for 2023, which I do plan to talk about soon. But maybe Ship of Magic ends on such a banger, I just got to go straight to Mad Ship. I don't know. I want to leave these options open. Obviously, like I said, I want to be more of an impulsive reader. That's why I do my TBRs as a quarter, because, okay, sometimes things might not go as I have it planned out in that video, but I still plan to read those books during that time period if things go, according to plan, obviously. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to add outside of that, really, because all I was going to do after that was going to be Live Ship Traders, the new Brian Lee Durfee book, which doesn't come out until the end of November. So, yeah, we're just going to kind of play it by ear here and see what happens. And my phone always rings while I'm trying to record this stuff. And I've got sick kids right now, so it's probably the school telling me I've got to come and get them. I hope not. Let me check. Let's talk about this week on the channel, guys. We did continue with Throne Zone, episode number 9. This was The Green Council. That episode was a lot more fun to do when I didn't have the flu. So, yeah, a lot of fun conversation there. I think this is probably the most divisive episode of the show yet. And I think about, I feel like, it's opposed to, because this and Rings of Power are always going to get compared. It seems like everyone is nitpicking everybody complains that people are nitpicking everything about Rings of Power. I don't think there's a show that gets put under the microscope more than House of Dragon. I mean, one tiny 10 seconds of each episode is what everyone talks about every single week after the show airs. And this week it is the ending of episode 9. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. all of us on the show, we actually enjoyed it. We understood why people didn't like that scene, but you know what? We were fine with it. It didn't break the show for us, but you know what? I'd rather talk about that than talk about the foot scene, and I think that that's kind of the way that everyone kind of feels about it. So obviously a lot of fun anytime we get to talk about House of the Dragon. I did my top 10 Cosmere characters, which I've been putting off for a little bit. I thought that would get a little more attention, but I don't know. I think maybe I chased off all the Brandon Sanderson fans when I didn't like Rhythm of War. But again, like I said with Assassin's Quest, I'm never going to lie to you guys. I'm going to tell you the truth about how I feel about a book. And if you can't take a little bit of criticism, I don't know, maybe I'm not the channel for you. I get that. But obviously, a lot of fun talking about the Cosmere. With that, I said that I think that when I talk about Brandon Sanderson, I always talk about his magic system. And it didn't wait until I really went into this and looked at the whole Cosmere and looked at all these characters that I've loved, that I realized, wow, I really do appreciate a lot of these characters. And it rather surprised me. So it's easy to see why everyone loves Brandon Sanderson so much. He does have some really great characters. He's known as for his magic systems, but he does have some good characters and some good character growth when you think about some of the growth of some of these characters over the course of these series. Yeah, the list was a little Stormlight heavy, but Stormlight Archive is one of my favorite fantasy series. It is ongoing right now, so that's to be expected. So I look forward to seeing how that list updates in a couple of years, maybe when Stormlight Archive does, well, at least when it gets to its halfway point here with Book 5, hopefully before I die. I did do my review for The Exorcist. Like I said, I'm not going to repeat everything I already said about it. But it was a lot of fun to get to talk about The Exorcist. One of the funniest comments I got was, did you put a filter on that video or something wrong with my computer monitor? Yeah, with my spooky season stuff, I usually try to put the old looking film overlay on everything, because I just think it kind of helps just with the mood. It's just something that I started doing a couple years ago, and now I do it without any explanation, and people are like, that's an interesting creative choice. But I don't do that with all horror books, but I try to when it's October. It's just something fun. But yeah, Exorcist, read it. It's really good. And then I realized that starting a secondary channel, guys, it's kind of a pain. Because regardless of how big your primary channel is, you start a secondary channel, you still got to start from the beginning. You got to do everything. You got to do the validation. You got to do the identification. You've got to do two-step verification, all that stuff. And I didn't realize when I had scheduled to talk to Jaime and Fuego from the horror show, I was planning to do that as a live stream on Mike's Media Reviews. And I didn't realize that it took so long for them to prove you for live streaming. So yeah, the YouTube overlords, they are tough. They are tough, and it's hard to get anything done at a reasonable speed. So the Idiot Box was something I planned to do. Basically, it's to talk about nothing for Mike's Media Reviews. It was just where we can talk about whatever, and he was going to be my first guest, but since I couldn't live stream it, I had to unexpectedly live stream it on the mothership here, Mike's Book Reviews. But going forward, that conversation will take place, will be exclusive to Mike's Media Reviews. So thank you guys for sticking with me while I deal with these technical difficulties of trying to get that channel launched. I'd be lying if I said the rollout of that channel has went exactly as I planned. Nothing really has went exactly the way that I wanted it to go over there. But it is a slow process. But I am happy that I have that outlet to talk about other things outside of there, and I will be doing new content for that here. Maybe I should do more shorts over there, I think, because I think I have a lot more ideas for shorts over there, because you'll see a news story and you only want to talk about it for a minute. I think that's a neat idea. But as far as this episode, anytime I get to talk to my brother from another mother, Jaime, my side, this is the only guy out there that I will defer to when it comes to Stephen King. But that conversation was a lot of fun. We talked about an hour and a half, music, movies, video games, TV, and of course books. I mean, obviously we're both Stephen King guys, so we're going to talk about Stephen King a lot, and we talk about Stephen King adaptations a lot. And I appreciate you guys who did participate in that conversation, because it's a lot of fun. But Jaime is just awesome guy. I hope you'll check out his stuff. He's a great follow on the socials. The horror show obviously is the gold standard on YouTube when it comes to anything horror movie related, horror TV show related. They've got it covered. And of course, his specialty show, Hail to Stephen King, is basically what influenced Into the Multiverse. I would have never done that if it weren't for Jaime, so I give him full credit for that. And I'm glad he was able to join me on the show. Such an awesome guy, and I hope you guys will check out his stuff. How about some next week plans, guys? I do plan to review The Troop by Nick Cutter. I want to get more horror stuff out there, because I did get a comment like, wow, you're not really doing much for spooky season this year. And you're right. I do want to get some more stuff out there. So I got that Exorcist review out. I want to review The Troop, because I think there's still a lot of people that are on the fence about it, and I think I can tell you one way or the other which way you should lean. I am still hoping to talk to Rachel from the Shades of Orange. She actually, guys, the cold flu season is in full effect. And that bug hit her house this week, so she had to unfortunately cancel on the Talk About Nothing we had planned for Wednesday. We haven't actually nailed down a new date yet, but I am hoping that can happen sometime next week because I think Rachel talking horror in October is obviously the goal, so I hope that we can work that out. But, guys, with me, real life comes first, family comes first, take care of your family and stuff. But hope everyone is on the mend at Rachel's household, and she can talk to me sometime this week. Obviously, we'll be doing our Throne Zone finale. That episode is called The Black Queen, and that won't be happening until Tuesday because Madison's out of town. It won't be back until Tuesday, so we won't be doing that on the Monday night like usual. So I'll give you an extra 24 hours to kind of noodle anything, and hope that you guys will join us for that conversation because, again, we love talking to each other, but we love talking about what you guys think in the comments as well. So anytime you guys can join us there, we do appreciate it. And it's very sad this is going to be the last House of the Dragon episode we get for probably about 2 years. I don't know why we can't get back to that thing where every show comes back 1 year later. I don't know. A show this big, obviously, I just want them to take their time and do it right. But it does suck when we've got to wait that long between seasons. Really, really does. I'm thinking about doing an updated FAQ thing for the channel. I still get a lot of questions. A lot of them are the same thing. A lot of them are some new questions that I've gotten asked a lot recently. So it's just always fun to kind of hit on a lot of those frequently asked questions that I get on the channel. And I wouldn't mind doing that. Over on Mike's Media Reviews, I do have an idea that I'm going to do. And this is going to be a staple for the channel. Now, what this segment is going to be called is Decades. Now, what Decades is where I take a topic, like, for example, this first episode, the best rock albums of the 1990s. I take anything like that, and I go by year, 1990, 1991, 1992, and I pick the best album from each year. And I think it's a great conversation starter. Obviously, it's going to cause lots of varying opinions. And I mean, that's kind of what you do with a conversation starter. It's an opinion, but everyone's going to be different. Nothing is more subjective than music, guys, obviously. But I think that's a fun idea. And then at the end, pick my overall favorite album of the 90s. Now, this is something I want to do with TV. I want to do with movies, video games, music. I think it could be anything. So you want to do like best video games of the 2000s. I think that can be really fun, just going by year and thinking about the best one for each year. And it's hard, guys, because for me, a very impressionable age as a teenager in the 1990s, rock music was a big, big deal to me. So I think it could be something that could be really fun. And I'm looking forward to rolling that out sometime this week. But before I go, guys, there are some TV and movie talk things that I'd like to get into. I finished Season 2 of Succession. This is a highly, highly bingeable program. The thing with Succession is I feel like it'll influence me kind of in that Deadwood way to where I start speaking like the characters on the show, and that's not very good for my kids repeating what they hear me say. Because Succession, they have... Jay Kristoff would blush at some of the bad language on that show, but it's a thrilling show, guys. It really is. It's one of those things where I knew that I would probably like it because I think that HBO makes quality content, obviously. And I just didn't think it would be this highly bingeable. I thought there would be some fluff. It's like this show is straight meat. And it's amazing that there's never a dull moment on a show where it's mostly just people talking to each other. It really is. So I think it's one of those kind of shows that you're either going to... It's not going to be your bag or you're going to love it. I think that, and I'm falling in the group that obviously loves it. The Season 2 finale completely floored me. I thought I knew it was going one way, and then I was like, no, that's not going to happen. And then when it did happen, I was like, holy shit, it actually happened. So, I should be starting Season 3 probably sometime this weekend. Excited, but as soon as I get caught up, I don't know, with like a Season 4, I might just wait for it to be done because I think I do still like binging this show. And I know a lot of people they like the weekly thing. Look, I like the weekly thing when it comes to something like House of the Dragon or Mandalorian because it gives you time to talk about it. A show like that, I love to just kind of burn right through it, and I am burning right through it. Very, very good, guys. So thank you for that pick. You guys did vote on that, and that just got me want to say, guys, that I want people to consider watching more original series. Because everyone I try to tell about these, like I was talking about For All Mankind here, now I'm talking about Succession. And everyone I kind of tell people about these shows, they say, same thing happened with The Offer. They say, oh, well, I can't. I got I got a season of Loki, and I got to watch Obi-Wan still, and I want to watch Andor, and I still got to watch I still haven't watched, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's like, guys, quit watching all the retreads. I mean, is everything you're going to watch always just going to be MCU and Star Wars retreads on Disney Plus? Is that all you're going to watch now? There is so much good original stuff out there. And I'm not saying you can't like that stuff. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying it feels like you're talking about doing the dishes. You're talking about chores. Watch some original stuff, some fresh ideas. And I think that you will be relieved that TV can still be fun. I almost feel like people got Stockholm Syndrome at this point, and they've got to watch these things, and they've got to say they like them. And I mean, I'm just seeing like people telling me everything that's awful about She-Hulk. I haven't watched it. Don't get me wrong. But they'll tell me everything awful about She-Hulk, and then they'll give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I'm like, wow, when you were talking about it, it sounded like you hated it more than Rings of Power. So I don't really understand what the deal is there. But again, I'm not saying you can't enjoy those things. If you are still enjoying that, man, that's awesome. I want you to do things that make you happy. That's what TV and movies are supposed to be about. But I wish people would give some of these original shows a real chance, because there's some really, really great original content out there that isn't just playing off nostalgia like they try to with Star Wars, and isn't just playing off of, hey, we know you grew up with the MCU, here's more, you know? So I don't know. I wish people would give more things outside of the Disney machine a try, because there's some really, really quality stuff out there. And I think if Breaking Bad or The Sopranos or things like that came out during this era, I don't know if it would have got the same foothold, because people are so into the MCU Star Wars retread stuff now that they can't give anything else a try. So step outside your comfort zone once in a while. That's my recommendation. I think that you'll be quite happy for it, and see there's some really, really great TV out there. And that brings me to talking about one more superhero thing. And I don't want people to think I'm defending Warner Brothers, guys, because, look, yes, I love DC Comics, and no, I do not trust Warner Brothers with anything. So when the Black Adam reviews came out, I was like, not a shock. You know, they're not very positive. But then I made a bold proclamation on the old tweeter. Is I said, look, here's the case with every movie starring The Rock, is that critics will say it's brain dead action stuff, and it's not that good. It'll hover around the 50% mark. And then the audience reviews will come out, and it'll be in the high 80s. And I predicted that the audience score would be around 88%. As of recording this, it's 89%. Now, I know that'll probably go up or down one way or the other, because we only got, like, you know, it's very, very early on Friday morning. So that can go either way. But it's like, this is the way with every Rock movie, is critics don't like it. They say it's just action, brain dead stuff. And audiences say, yeah, that's why I pay to see a movie starring The Rock. The same... He's the Arnold Schwarzenegger of this era. People just want to see him punch things in the face and blow shit up, right? So to me, this is a layup. I knew it was going to be like that, but I don't know. I don't know why people take critics so seriously still. It's so clear to me, going on Rotten Tomatoes, which again, why do you use Rotten Tomatoes as your compass as if you're going to watch something or not? Stop it. But you can see the differences between critics and audiences. They've never been more different than they are right now. Occasionally, yeah, they do match up, but it's like, watch stuff and make your own mind up. You know, look, I don't like the way the DCU's gone either, and I say that as a huge DC Comics fan. So I don't necessarily think it'll be a great DC movie, but I think it'll be a fun action movie, because that's what The Rock is. And that's why it's the one actor in this household that all four of us will watch whatever they make, because my wife has a crush on The Rock. My kids think The Rock is awesome. And I've been following The Rock since, you know, obviously the WWE Attitude days, WWF, when it was still WWF. So, yeah. Well, am I going to go see it? No. No, I don't really go to the theater anymore, but will I watch it when it comes on HBO Max with the whole family? Sure. So, again, guys, please stop taking critics so seriously, especially when it comes to superhero films. I mean, for example, they loved Thor: Love and Thunder, and yeah, well, I'll leave that up to you guys. I don't want to sound like I'm dunking on the MCU. I'm really not trying to. It's just, to me, it was over at Endgame, you know? So everything now is just like, But I still wanted to give Thor a try, because I loved Ragnarok so much. And guys, I couldn't even finish that movie. How the mighty have fallen. But guys, that was my week. What was your week like? Why don't you drop in the comments and let me know, and I'll talk to you there. Have a great weekend.